Despite every progress in technology, more than a third of all truck accidents are rear-end collisions. The consequences of these unbraked collisions are shown by the crash test performed by the ADAC. The Swedes put a lot of extra electronic safety components in the new truck to prevent accidents and to protect the lives of the truck drivers and other road users more effectively. One of the most important technological assistants is the so-called emergency brake assistant. Via camera and radar, the system warns about a possible crash and brakes independently. Development engineers carefully test the new system in order to make it work in a real-life situation.
In a collision with a car in a traffic jam, it is of course the car which takes the brunt of it, because the truck runs a lower risk with its mass.
The system should help if the driver isn't paying attention. About 90% of all truck accidents are caused by human failure due to distraction or excessive speed.
We want to get the attention of the driver back on what the driver should be doing. But if the driver fails in seeing the situation, the truck will then automatically put on the brakes and do an emergency braking, so it stops before hitting the object in front of him.
The system records cars and trucks, regardless of whether they are stationary or driving, and prevents crashes with speed differences of up to 70 kilometers an hour. If the system sees a vehicle, the emergency program will be activated immediately.
Very happy because it showed that the system works exactly as it should do.
The next step has already been taken. How is it possible to maneuver a truck if, for instance, the driver overlooks stationary traffic? As a consequence, the braking distance is insufficient despite the emergency brake assist, and hectic steering makes things worse. If necessary, the new Evasive Maneuver Assist System, EMA for short, takes over. The assistance function recognizes whether an activated emergency stop will be sufficient. If a collision cannot be prevented, activated by a steering impulse to the left or the right, the EMA directs the truck to the next free traffic lane independently and safely, even at maximum speed.
The technology can't push through all by itself, because some businessmen are reserved due to the price it comes with and are therefore not willing to pay this additional price.
Experts in the field of accidents estimate that with the help of this system, up to 2,500 lives could be saved in Europe. 350 hands work on the cabin of the new FH until it is completely mounted. The centerpiece of the new Colossus is the engine, which fulfills the strict Euro 6 norm and produces clean exhaust fumes. In comparison to its predecessor, it runs more smoothly, thanks to many electronic components. However, the different trial measures are much more complex. The Swedes make the most expensive tests worldwide. In this case, the scientists want to know the consequences of a frontal crash of two trucks. Depending on the equipment, the giants weigh between 7,500 and 12,500 kilograms. These test results must be integrated in traffic as quickly as possible in order to make it safer. A lot of accidents happen because the truck drivers get tired or lose their concentration. The lane-keeping support turns on at 60 kilometers an hour and controls the position in the lane. If the truck touches the lines on the road, the driver will get an alarm signal.
The system has identified that I'm driving over the traffic lane without using the indicator light, and this is when I get this acoustic warning as a hint that I left the traffic lane without using the indicator light. If I use the indicator light and drive over the lane again, I'm leaving the lane voluntarily, and I won't get a warning signal.
In the EU, the lane keeping support has been required in all new trucks that weigh more than 3.5 tons since the 1st of November 2015. Not required, but certainly reasonable, is this adaptive cruise control. It adapts the speed and distance to the vehicle driving ahead and keeps a safe distance.
Here you can see that the adaptive cruise control system spotted a truck driving in front of us and automatically adapts to its pace in the traffic lane, distance included. This means I have a chosen pace of 80 kilometers per hour. The truck in front of me drives at 50 at the moment and accelerates now, and I keep the same pace as this vehicle with a safe pre-chosen distance.
If another slow vehicle drives in front of the truck will automatically brake and adapt its speed and distance to the vehicle in front of it. The highlight: the latest developments of these adaptive cruise control systems automatically keep a safe distance to the vehicle in front throughout all paces, which in this case also involves stopping and driving off again. Besides relieving the driver, the development of these electronic assistance systems, which was initially intended for cars only, also comes with a higher safety standard. Back to the production. Before the truck is supplied to the customer, all new systems are going to be tested numerous times. For example, a warning system that monitors the truck driver's tiredness. The truck informs its drivers when they should take a break and controls the driving behavior. If it seems as if drivers are getting tired, they will be informed by a warning signal on the display and are urged to pause.
And when you get tired, then you tend to sway a little, and then you will kind of wake up and maneuver very hard. The system will then detect that, and it will then, after a couple of these things, it will then say, warn you, and come up with a light and say, time for a break, time for a cup of coffee.
Since 2014, the regulation of driving dynamics, called ESP, has been required. It helps when the truck starts skidding out of control and is on the verge of overturning. The electronic stability program is provided with 3 sensors. A central unit calculates all current measurements that it receives. If they do not fit each other, the brakes on one or more wheels will be activated. At the same time, the power of the engine is automatically reduced. Slippery roads during winter can turn out to be a challenge for trucks with a heavy load. Even very skilled drivers can get in danger when the trailer swings off. The so-called jackknifing phenomenon is very dangerous for the driver and the oncoming traffic. Johan Sundberg often drives heavy-loaded trucks on narrow streets in the woods. He learned about the problem the hard way.
It can happen from time to time and gives you a huge shock. You feel like being on a roller coaster and you lost control. Jackknifing is a very dangerous situation. The consequences can be loss of control over the vehicle, or shearing out of line, injuries, damaged vehicles, or even deadly accidents. The problem is that the situation is very hard to control.
But what exactly is the jackknifing phenomenon?
Jackknifing happens between truck and trailer. It is an evil phenomenon where the trailer is pushed forwards while braking and ends next to the truck.
In order to avoid any kind of risk, Volvo Trucks developed a new braking system, the so-called stretch brake.
This system will brake the trailer automatically if it is activated by the driver. When the driver throttles the system, the trailer will be slowed down automatically so that the truck and the trailer stay straight in line and there is no chance of jackknifing.
Thanks to the new brake system, the trailer will remain in sync with the truck even in tricky situations. And that makes driving for truckers much more relaxed.
Stretch brake is extremely important for us because it is a problem that drivers have where the drawbar is pushing when going downhill, and with this we can now help them to control it in a very good way. Stretch brake is something that will give the driver a feeling of more security, really, that he knows what he's doing, he can control the vehicle in a very good way.
50% of the truck drivers still don't put on their seatbelts. Fatal accidents are declining since the beginning of the 90s, but much more lives could be saved if more drivers would belt up.
I'd say one of the major things is that we still can't get all truck drivers to understand that they should be wearing their seatbelt. If they were wearing their seatbelt, a truck is probably one of the safest working places to be in. But you need to have your seatbelt on.
This is also shown by a DEKRA crash test. Already at a speed of 30 kilometers an hour, test dummies not wearing a seatbelt can be catapulted through the front windshield. And even if they survive, they would be overrun by the following traffic. All test dummies at Volvo wear seatbelts. Otherwise, the complex technology would be useless.